Hello friends and welcome to another day of Crochet and Crime. My name is Hazy Baby and today I will be crocheting the rest of this Pikachu. So not this Pikachu obviously, this is my Pikachu for reference, but this giant bad boy right here is going to be a beanbag for my son's birthday. So I've got his torso happening. And I will be, like I said, crocheting while talking about crime. So I hope to see you soon. And if you're on YouTube, then I'll see you now. Well, you'll see me. I won't see you. That's not how it works. Okay, see you soon. Oh, don't forget, like, subscribe, follow, all of that kind of social media jazzy stuff. You got it. You can do it. I believe in you. Okie dokie, artichoke. I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. I surely did. I did nothing but read all weekend long because I'm a giant book nerd. And try and wrap my head around this evolving Pikachu that I am creating. See what I did there? I said evolving because it's a Pikachu. Get it? Anyway, I have some doozies of some stories for you. So if this first one is one that I actually had to look at twice before I believed it. But a 95-year-old woman has been tasered by the police. Yep, you heard that correctly. Tasered by the police. She was using a walking frame. She was tasered because she had a knife, okay? This is what the police have said. So this is a doozy of a story this morning. So according to the police, they were not hiding anything. And New South Wales top cop defends the way police told media that a 95-year-old great-grandmother was injured with a taser. They tasered her, guys. They tasered her. She was like fighting for her life. It's ridiculous. So New South Wales Police Commissioner Karen Webb said police were not hiding anything by choosing to omit any mention of the word taser when they first disclosed to the media that the police had injured a 95-year-old woman in an aged care home. In the news that has captured global attention, Claire Nowland, a dementia patient at Yallambee Lodge, was carrying a serrated steak knife, guys, serrated steak knives, when a senior officer used his taser to stop the great-grandmother. I mean, I read yesterday, I think someone had said two 12-year-olds with a doona could have put this woman under control, and I agree. Like, that's ridiculous. So Nowland remains in a critical condition and is understood to be receiving end-of-life care after falling and hitting her head due to being tased. Just remember that. So, like, the police are trying to say, oh, she's only in hospital because she hit her head. Yeah, because she's 95 years old and the police tasered her for having a steak knife. Ridiculous. Talk about excessive force, guys. Absolutely. The original media release was sent out to news outlets last Wednesday, stated that the alleged woman had sustained injuries during an interaction that left a critical incident team was investigating the circumstances surrounding the incident. They refused to actually show any of the body cam footage. Yeah, because everybody knows that would prove it. Anyway, so they reckon they're not hiding anything, although they won't show anyone the footage because it's not in public interest to show anyone the footage. The police were saying they needed time to talk to the family about the unusual incidents, so they didn't have to learn it through the media. Yeah, likely story. I mean, come on, Jeeves, that's ridiculous. I want answers and so do the family, and we will get them in time. An investigation has been launched involving a body cam and interviews with the senior constable who tasered Nowland and the partner, he's a police officer partner, which would shed light on how the situation escalated so quickly after they responded to the reports of the elderly woman holding a knife. I want to point out, guys, it's a steak knife. She was holding it while she had a walker, like an actual old person walker. She's 95 years old. Really? So she needed, 50,000 volts or whatever it is to course through her stream? Just ridiculous. So Nowlin has a large family with 8 children, 24 grandchildren, and 34 great-grandchildren, and is expecting 4 more this year. They let the family know what had happened before telling the media the details, and now that now the family know they have been injured. She was injured after being tased. No, she was injured because she was tased. You have to remember the but not for the fact that she'd been tased, she wouldn't have fallen over and hit in her head. Anyway, I hope these police officers never live down the shame of tasing a 95-year-old woman. Fucking ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And worth me swearing about. So funny, but so like not comical funny, like tragedy funny. Anyway, let's move on, shall we? Alrighty, so this next story comes out of Melbourne as a woman lay dying on the side of the road. Police are pleading for anyone, the driver actually, who hit the woman to come forward. So the partner of a homeless woman who was struck by a van and left for dead in Melbourne's southeast has made an emotional plea for the driver to hand themselves in. So Sarah Phillips made it to hospital but is still fighting for her life on Sunday night after the crash. She and her long-term partner, Paul Caparo, were crossing the road near Avon Street at about 7 p.m. on Saturday when a white van came down Heatherton Road. Sarah followed me and the van just ploughed straight through her, an emotional chipper told 9 News. About 50 to 70 centimetres she got dragged underneath the van. Absolutely. Despite the impact, the driver didn't stop. They dragged her 50 to 70 metres and then fled the scene. It beggars belief, but the driver of the van continued, leaving the 34-year-old female dying on the side of the road until an ambulance arrived. The 34-year-old sustained critical head injuries and remains in the Albert Hospital of Intensive Care on Sunday night. Detectives spent the night combing the streets for evidence and searching for those responsible. Police are extremely interested in talking to the driver of the white van, obviously. The white van will have substantial front passenger side damage with a number of pieces left at the scene, so they definitely know that someone's driving around with a broken car. After the collision, neighbours and a number of witnesses stopped to help Phillips and provide first aid until emergency services arrived, so at least not everybody is a douche canoe. It's understood the driver wasn't speeding, but police hope that anyone with security or dash cam footage of the incident can shed more light on them. And I really just hope that maybe he didn't realise, or she didn't realise, that there was someone trailing him. But why wouldn't you stay? I mean, I don't get it. I called the driver of the white van to hand himself in to the nearest police station before they catch you, Hill had said. Which I agree, it's better that you go in and hand yourself in rather than being caught. She's a beautiful person and a lovely girl with a big heart, said Phillips. So I wish her a speedy recovery, and I really hope that she is able to recover, and I hope that the person who did this can come forward to allow that family some sort of peace of mind and stuff, and to figure out what had happened, because I'm sure it wasn't intentional. I'm sure it was just an accident, but fleeing the scene is not good. Not good at all. Okie dokie, so this next story is another stabbing, which is ridiculous. So a man has been charged over allegedly stabbing after police forced their way into a unit. So a man has suffered wounds to his hands and forearms after he was allegedly stabbed by another man in Adelaide who had barricaded himself into a unit. The 40-year-old victim was taken to the hospital by paramedics on Saturday after emergency services were called to the apartment in the Sanderson Terrace at about 5:30 p.m. Police arrested the suspect, a 47-year-old Adelaide man, after forcing their way into the barricaded property. So apparently he'd stabbed this other guy and then barricaded himself into his property. So police had a more difficult time getting to him. I mean, they would have gotten to him eventually, but they had a more difficult time getting to him. He was charged with aggravated assault and possession of a knife. Officers said the alleged victim's injuries were non-life-threatening. The accused was also taken to the Royal Adelaide Hospital for assessment. Officers said that both men know each other and investigations are ongoing. Was it a lover's quarrel? A love triangle? What's happening? I don't know. We don't know. We don't know. Okie dokie, artichokey. So we're going to move on to a different kind of fearful, horrible event. So a vision emerges of two boys with machetes chasing after a teenager. And it's absolutely horrifying, by the way. Absolutely horrifying. So confronting pictures and a little bit of a GIF video has emerged of two boys armed with machetes chasing a teenager in a Melbourne street. Guys, this is so tragic. Right before his death, he died. With his killer still at large and the knives still in the community, local leaders are calling for weapons amnesty to stop this violence. Portia Lechem was confronted on a Sunshine Coast street. Oh my God, guys, I'm gonna cry. And ran for his young life as the teenagers hurled after him with a machete. Oh, God. Seconds later, another teenager followed, wielding his own knife and still wearing a school bag and a tie. 16-year-old Liam, is what I'm going to call him, was part of the Chin community in the city's western suburb. He was the youngest of 4 children who moved to Australia as refugees from Burma. Oh, this makes me so upset. So, in this poor child's life, he died at the age of 17, being chased down by 2 teenagers with a machete. And this is after he fled to Australia because it was safer from Burma, because Burma is in a state of war. And that's just absolutely so devastating. And I know that you can hear the sorrow in my voice, and I'm so sorry for their family. And I know a lot of people will be like, oh, why are you sorry? You didn't do anything. I'm sorry because I'm Australian and this is my country and I'm proud of my country. And I'm sorry because I cannot believe that anyone would intentionally harm another person, let alone chase them down with machetes in my country. So I am sorry for their loss. I am devastated. I'm absolutely devastated. This is hitting me way harder than I thought it would. And I apologize to anyone else who's listening to my video right now and can hear the sorrow in my voice. It's really tragic and really sad. And just thinking about like the last moments of this poor boy's life. As he was like running away, fighting for his life, the poor little thing. Anyway, apparently he's been described as a lovely boy, obviously, and he was really friendly. The Sunshine bus stop where he lost his life on Thursday has become a meeting place for friends, placing flowers and sheltering candles. The Chin community has wrapped its arms around this family, and the church service is held each night in his memory, which is nice. We're staying close to each other, his family has said. The first time that our community is going through this kind of tragic incident, and hopefully the last, I hope. As a shrine on the Sunshine Coast grows, those working to tackle youth violence say it's all too familiar. They believe that a number of teenagers carrying knives is at an all-time high, and it's children as young as 11. We need to do something about this. And 12 are arming themselves. So they have worked the generations at the generations at risk is what they're calling it. It's like actually carrying a mobile phone to them. They don't even see it as anything bad. They're scared and they think they're going to get jumped. Police said the knife homicides have dropped 40% from last year. Oh, we should be proud of that, should we? Tell that to the... I bet that's cold comfort to the family of the people who are dying. Nearly 2 decades since he helped organise weapon amnesty with Police, Footscray and Sunshine 20, men believe that it's time for another amnesty, and I agree. We've got 52 weapons in the back in 2 hours, and we never went any further. Police have spoken with the release of 2 teenagers following Liam's death, and they were still searching for a third. Oh my god, guys. Okay, I just want to take like 10 seconds just to stop thinking about that poor boy's last moments on earth. Whew. And now to some more tragedy. So we have the police have shot a First Nations man's son, basically. Dead. They shot him dead in Brisbane. So a major crime scene has been declared at a Queensland home after a man was shot dead by police. Officers were called to the Garang address after reports was that he was trying to stab his own father with a knife. Police detectives and paramedics converged around the home where the 29-year-old First Nations man was shot dead by the police. Oh, my goodness. Tasing 95-year-olds, shooting First Nations people. What the fuck, police? What's going on? Detective Superintendent Andrew Messingham said the man lunged at police with what they believed was a knife, which resulted in the officer discharging 3 shots. Couldn't you just disarm him? Why'd you have to shoot him 3 times? Officers arrived at Days Road property at 2:15 p.m. after a 000 call reported the 29-year-old was attempting to stab his own father. Upon their arrival, they noticed that the man had actually been stabbed in the left hand and was quite deep lacerations and also suffered an injury in his left shoulder. The man in his late 50s is currently being treated at the Royal Brisbane and Women's Hospital in a stable condition. Evidence markers remain dotted across the driveway. Detectives focus on an area underneath the home where the shooting occurred. Out of the street, the family who lives there are grieving, including the man's mother. They shot him. They shot my son, the woman said. Yeah, see, you don't bring guns to a knife fight, guys. It's ridiculous. Those who live nearby are, reveled in shock after the incident. We heard 4 shots, evenly spaced apart. We'd all gone outside to have a look to see if we needed to call 000, but there was already police at the address 2 houses down. Those in the nearby barbershop ducked for cover, unaware where the shots were coming from. Of course, it's scary. It's very, very scary, one customer said. Initial investigations indicate no taser was deployed during the interaction, because that would have been a better idea, just saying. And police say they have seized a pitchfork from the backyard of the home. Oh, whoop-de-fucking-do. The officers involved will be subjected to questioning and ethical standards command. I fucking hope so. A body worn camera footage was revealed as part of the investigation, which will be overseen by Crime and Corruption Commission. Why is everyone getting all trigger happy? We've got 95-year-old old ladies being tasered for holding a steak knife, for feck's sake, in their walkers with dementia. It could have been de-escalated much easier. Yes, I know dementia patients are quite vocal and sometimes not very lucid, but Jesus, there was no need to tase her. And then now we're shooting people who are holding knives, apparently, because why didn't they deploy the taser? And why is it after the fact they're saying stupid shit like, oh, there's a pitchfork in the backyard? Well, why do we care if there was a pitchfork in the backyard? I got a whole bunch of steak knives at home. Does that mean I deserve to be shot? This is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I love my country. I really do. But we need harsher ways for people to become police, because I swear to God, 6 weeks down at wherever the fuck they are is ridiculous when they can become Queensland police and here's a gun. Just stupid. Absolutely stupid. Anyway, that's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. Alrighty, this next story is a man who's sought by police, but be careful, dude, because, you know, they're going a bit trigger happy at the moment, over an MCG glassing attack. Oh, look, it's an MCG glassing attack. Who knows? You might get tasered. So police are on the hunt for a man accused of glassing. Okay. My non-Australian friends, glassing is when you throw literally glass. A glass cup, a glass bottle, you're using glass as a weapon. So a glassing can be someone could hit you upside of the head with a bottle, or they could just throw a bottle of glass at you. Anyway, that's what a glassing is called, just in case you don't understand what that term is. Anyway, so police are on a hunt for a man who's a football fan at a Melbourne cricket ground during last night's AFL match. Jesus, that was a mouthful. Investigators have been told the pair were involved in a verbal dispute before one smashed a glass on top of the other man's head shortly after 10 p.m. So he didn't throw it, he just hit him in the head with it. The offender left the scene on foot and is yet to be found. A 36-year-old man from Queensland was provided medical treatment for his injury. The incident happened during the Dream Time at the G match between Essendon and Richmond. Police said investigations remain ongoing, and anyone with any information that could help police once they are to lodge a Crime Stoppers report on 1800 333 000. Yeah. And because that person needs to be held accountable for sure, because you can't be going around glassing people. Anyway, as you can see, it kind of looks a bit like a basket, and this is the middle body part. So I'm going to be putting the head on top of here, attaching the head. Normally I would just attach the head to it and then add on the things, but I think it needs, because it's a beanbag, it's going to need that more stability from this middle piece. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on, shall we? Ooh, got some interesting stories for you guys. So 2 arrests after a body was found in a large metal cabinet in New South Wales. A lot of bodies being found lately. There was like a mummified one found, and then there was like one found in a boot, I think. Anyway, so 2 men have been arrested after a man's body was found in a large metal cabinet in a creek on the New South Wales mid-north coast earlier this month. So the 22-year-old man's body was found on May 12th at Warry Creek at Maxville after he was reported missing. The discovery occurred as police were investigating the alleged supply of drugs to the area in Sydney's south, so in the southern suburbs of Sydney. Police say a 22-year-old man has been arrested at a Peakhurst property in southern Sydney last week and charged with the murder. He has been refused bail, obviously, and will reappear court at the Downing Centre local court on August 17th. The other man, a 33-year-old man, was arrested on Wednesday after police travelled to Brisbane and executed a number of search warrants. He was arrested on an outstanding warrant, and police have made an application to extradite him to New South Wales. The investigation is still continuing, and there's no speculation as to why they killed him, if he was actually dead before they threw him in the lake in a metal box. That's going to be a terrible way to die, but yes, I'm glad that his body has been found, and I'm glad that those who committed the crime have been held accountable. Allegedly committed the crime, have been held accountable. I'd say it's related to drugs by the sounds of it. Some sort of drug bust. Some sort of drug deal gone wrong. Okie dokie artichoke. Let's move on to our next ones. Another hit and run, but this time it wasn't a hit and run. It's more like a car hit by train after an alleged drunk driver drove through the boom gates in Melbourne. So that reminds me of that. Dumb ways to die. So many dumb ways to die. Which ironically is an actual campaign that Victorian Melbourne had in their about 10 years ago about rail safety, ironically. So a drunk driver has narrowly escaped injury after his car was hit by a train. Oh, he didn't even die. So he not even dumb ways to die, but he could have. Melbourne's north this morning. So police allege that the man drove straight through the boom gates at the intersection of Epping and Settlement Roads before the car was hit by the passenger train at 3:10 a.m. in Thomaston. The 36-year-old driver, along with the passengers on the train, have not been injured. Like, no one's been injured. They're so lucky. So lucky. Like, that's just pure dumb luck. Police say the man was breath tested at the scene and returned a positive result before returning an eventual breath test of 0.113. Yeah, your alcohol reading should be 0.0 something. I don't even remember what it is because I don't drink and drive. It's expected that the Doveton man will be charged on a summons and drink driving and traffic-related offences. I want to frickin' hope so. Crazy. He could have killed himself. Worse, he could have killed other people. Jeebus. Don't drink and drive, guys. Like at all. It's ridiculous. Okie dokie, so I'm moving on to our next story. And it's Melbourne again. But they're hunting for a man, a bandit they're calling him, after he robbed a woman at gunpoint and $140,000 has been stolen. What was she doing walking around with $140,000? Yes, my voice just did go 2 octaves higher. A manhunt is underway after a woman was held at gunpoint by a masked robber. Who was that masked man? Who stole $140,000 in cash. What the fuck was she doing with $140,000 in cash? Honestly, geez, I'm swearing a lot today. Oh, she was at a gambling venue. Oh, that makes sense, I suppose. The 51-year-old hotel worker was opening up the Players Hotel in Dandenong at 6 a.m. when she was cornered by a man wearing a balaclava and gloves. Okay, it's an inside job because how did he know where she was going to be, what time she was opening up, how much money she was going to have, all of that jazz. It's going to be a lot of casing of this place. He was said to have forced his way inside the hotel where he allegedly stole the cash, some of it from the actual pokies machines. From the pokies. Can't believe that. The man then fled the venue in the woman's Holden Barina. Tonight, the alleged offender and the woman's car remain at large, and police continue to track them down. While the woman was not physically injured, she's described to 9 News that she was traumatized. Duh. Of course she was. That's ridiculous. A separate incident in Melbourne this morning where a woman was sexually assaulted at the Southampton Cross station at 8 a.m. The woman then claimed to see the man who assaulted her in the hours of following the attack and alleged physical assault. Police say they are unknown to each other. So unrelated, apparently. So I don't know why they tacked it on to the end of this story, probably because it happened at the same area. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. They just tack a rape story onto the end of this robbery story. Nice. In a separate incident, here's some random facts for you. They have nothing to do with the robbery case, and she can't have a voice of her own, so we're going to chuck her on the bottom of this one instead. Ridiculous. Awesome. So Sydney residents run out to help a victim after hearing a massive crash, and then they end up making a citizen arrest. See, just when I thought there was no good people left. After hearing a massive car crash, residents in a quiet Sydney suburb street ran out to help the victim. Instead, when people came out of their homes, the Copperfield Drive in Rosemeadow last night, They ended up making a citizen's arrest. The alleged drunk driver, again, stopped drinking and driving, tried to flee the scene after crashing into 2 parked cars. So his hand was on the key and tried to turn it. I just grabbed his hand and the key in it and marched him over to the footpath. Resident Mark Alott said. Mark, I see my husband doing that. I wouldn't let him walk off the footpath because I knew it was possible that he could run. Now I'm not going to let that happen. The 54-year-old man was arrested at the scene by police who alleged that the man returned a reading of 0.191, so almost 0.1, almost 0.2. A red SVU belonging to the family with 8 children was hit during the incident, and it's uninsured and is definitely a write-off. Insure your vehicles, peeps. I mean, I say that, but I'm totally broke. But the family are grateful that the outcome wasn't worse, like, someone was in it, for example, or the children were in the front yard or whatever. I'm glad it was at nighttime, she said, and that no other kids were at the front because it could have been so much worse. The man was arrested and charged with driving under the influence of alcohol. I hope he's also going to be charged with reckless endangerment, because that's honestly ridiculous. Luckily he's not charged with more because he tried to attempt to flee the scene. So, because that would have been way worse. And my last one for today is a man has been charged with a deadly ute and quad bike crash in New South Wales. So a man has been charged after another man was killed in a ute and quad bike crash in New South Wales. The quad bike and ute allegedly collided about 58 kilometres southwest of Coonamble at about 3:45 p.m. yesterday. New South Wales police alleged the man drove the ute to a nearby property to get help, apparently. So he crashed into the quad bike, then drove to the nearby property to get help. Police arrived at the scene and located the quad bike and the body of one man on the side of the road. It's yet to be formally identified, but he's aged around about 50. The 63-year-old ute driver was uninjured, but was taken to the Coonamble Hospital for mandatory testing. When he was released from the hospital, the man was arrested and taken to the police station before being transported to Dubbo Police Station. He was charged with dangerous driving occasioning death, drive manner dangerous and negligent driving occasioning death. His licence was suspended and he was refused bail and is expected to appear before the Dubbo local court today. So there must be obviously more to the story than I'm thinking about, because I don't see them charging if it had been just an accident. He must dangerous driving occasioning death. He must have been speeding, or his car mustn't have been up to code, or something along those lines for them to charge him with that. So there's parts of that story that we're obviously not getting today, but hopefully, like I said, we'll get some more of that kind of stuff later. Do we have anything else for you guys today? I think I've got one more. Oh, so I'll just give you an update. So last week I was talking about this woman who left her child in the car, and the car was stolen and the child was in the back seat, and I was like rambling on about you never leave your child alone, yada 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 yada. Anyway, the dad has now spoken out, so I think I'm going to tell you what he said. So, feels like you've got no control. Adelaide father speaks out after the child was taken in an alleged car theft. So, let's see if this is that same one or if it's a different one. The father of the child that was taken during alleged car theft in Adelaide has spoken out about the incident. So, it was the same one. So, he was sitting in the backseat of his mother's car when an alleged thief took the vehicle on Thursday. Mother Libby had left the 16-year-old in the parked car as she stepped into the Clearview pet store. See? So, I was right to go off on my random tangent. Don't leave kids in cars. Just saying. Not even for 2 seconds. She noticed from inside the store that the car was moving and ran out to stop it. Libby was hit by the car and dragged along the floor, sustaining injuries to her head. Her husband, Ari's father, Michael Ryan, told 9 News he was grateful for the community's help during the incident. There was an off-duty paramedic on the scene, and I just went up to him and hugged him because he helped Libby, which was... Okay, friends, so... A little update, my phone overheated because I was trying to use the internet from my phone as well as my phone to record. So it overheated and cut off the last of that video, the very, very last bit. I think I was saying something along the lines of that the father was extremely happy that the paramedics had been there to help his wife. I'm extremely happy that the person realized that there was a baby in the backseat. So that's what I'm extremely happy about. I'm sure he is as well. But that is it for today. That was the end of my stories. So thank goodness it was just the last little bit that cut out. Like as you can see, I am still going with this Pikachu, and hopefully I shall have his body and torso and head, well, his body and torso done by tomorrow. Anyway, long story short, thank you so much for your time and your patience today, and I will see you tomorrow, or you'll see me tomorrow. Anyway, bye.